Well, if I were to speak to Scientologists who've just decided they couldn't put up with what was going on in the church anymore, and now they're sort of just out here in the field, just kind of like disconnected from something that's been a very stable datum for a very long time, I would say find other people that are in the same position as you. I would advise them to study, read up on what's going on with the church, read up what's happening with the various situations that the church is trying to deal with, and get familiar with what people are saying who are no longer in the church, and what are their beefs with it, what do they want to see happen, what reforms do they think are necessary. And then I think each person needs to make up their own mind about what their views are. I mean, I can sit here on video and sort of give you my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Someone from the church can give you their opinion, but that's just their opinion. Each individual, and I sort of held this view many years, that every individual person has their own comm line with LRH. And certain things have happened in the church over a number of years that have sort of gotten in between that comm line, and people are ARC broken, or they don't agree with it or whatever, and they don't like a reg cycle they've had, or they've had a bad ethics cycle, or whatever it is. That just serves to cut across your own comm line with LRH. And I think that people need to inform themselves of everything that's going on, and I think they need to make up their own decision, because whatever is going to facilitate your comm line with LRH is going to be the most pro-survival thing for you. And if someone feels they need to do that within the confines of the church, I say go ahead and do that. If they think they need to do it in the free zone, I say go ahead and do that. If they need to do it in some other way, I think they've got to make their own individual decisions. And I wouldn't try to tell anyone what to do. I just tell them, you have that comm line with LRH, and that's the important comm line, however it's administered.
All right.
And for my part, I have a lot of track in the Sea Org in the technical area, and I'd be happy to answer anybody's questions if people were concerned about, were the any tech issued after 82? Is that all squirrel, or is that all screwball, or what about stuff that happened after LRH died? What's the situation with that? I worked for a long time in the RTRC area, and I can probably answer a lot of questions. And if anyone has questions they'd be interested in finding out answers to, they can, somehow get a hold of me, and I'll do what I can. Like, what would they do? They just write you questions on your website or comment on the video?
Yeah, they can comment on the video and ask their questions,
Okay.
and so we're in the next video.
Okay. So if anyone's interested in, if they have questions, they can just write comments on the video, and I'll answer them, and we'll get a conversation going, because more communication is going to resolve this mess that Scientology is in, not defining and ordering who can communicate to who. The more communication, the better, and that's sort of my view on it.
Yeah, total solution. Okay.
Someone's asked me about my opinion of these quote-unquote different versions of the bridge. And my own feeling is there's the bridge. I mean, the bridge has changed over the years. LRH came out with the first one in 1965, and as he did more research and different OT levels came out, different levels got added, and you can say that those are new bridges or different bridges. And then knots came out, and old OT levels went off, and knots went on, and so on. But LRH didn't really ever stop researching, and I think the bridge sort of reflects his researches at the different stages of his life. And what occurred after he passed away in 1986 was he left behind many orders on technical matters that had not been complied to, and those didn't really get complied to till in the 90s sometime, and some of the stuff still isn't done. So the bridge has to be, the grade chart, that document has to be modified to reflect that. So whether there's a discussion going on about different bridges, I actually don't know too much about that, and it's not, for me, it's not a particularly big issue.
Okay. What else do you have to say?
Let's see. Yeah, if people are interested, I had a lot of experience, like I say, in the technical area. I had experience in the making of films, LRH's tech films. I was involved with those. I wasn't so much involved in the management side of things. I didn't particularly like that. It wasn't my interest. And when I did get involved in it, I hated it, to be honest, and didn't do well there, and it just wasn't my bag. But if people have questions about the golden age of tech, if they have questions about how the RTRC area operated, if they have questions about the tech films, if they have questions about different aspects of the bridge. Right now there's this big thing going on where the grades are being delivered at Flag in super short amounts of time. I mean, I have some understanding of what's going on there. If people just have questions about life at the base, life in the Sea Org at that time, I can give you my opinion on that as well. So I'm just one Sea Org member, ex-Sea Org member of many thousands that are out. I'm one independent Scientologist of many who are coming out and sort of letting their identities be known, because I don't think there's any particular fear in just promoting Scientology and promoting LRH and speaking about what I experienced as a Scientologist. So I can answer, maybe shed some light, maybe not, on different areas, and I'll do my best, and I'm happy to hear from people. As to the matter of how I ended up leaving the Sea Org, a lot of people have stories, and some of them are very dramatic, and some of them are very painful, and some of them are this, and some of them are that. Mine is probably the most dull and boring of all. I just basically, one morning we were living in town in Hemet, and I got on my bicycle and rode off on a Sunday morning when everyone else was doing their cleaning and this and that, or doing shopping, whatever. I just got on my bike and rode off, and that was the end of it. And I've heard stories about people being tracked down and brought back to the base, and all kinds of stuff, and none of that happened to me. Mine was sort of a very clean, non-apparative cycle. LRH says in the PDC tapes that it's more important to be able to break a comm line than it is to be able to form a comm line, because say you're out in the mountains and you see this big boulder rolling towards you, it's better for you to be able to break that comm line with the body than to resist and stay in the body, because you're going to get squashed. And it's not that I didn't have some emotional reaction about it, but it was fairly a simple A to B cycle for me just to leave. Now, several years prior, I'd wanted to route out, and I'd made that. It made my intentions known. Hey, I said, listen, I just want to leave. I want to route out, and what ensued was several years of pain and trying to leave and being ignored and sec checked and this, that, the other thing. And finally, I just said, I'm out of here, and then I was gone. So once I really made the decision to leave, I just acted on it, and I was out of there in no time. What I'm doing now is I write and I paint and sell my writings. I do a lot of writing for people on websites, and I sell my painting and so on. And I'm just enjoying being an independent Scientologist and free to practice the subject as I want to, study it when I want to, help people. That's what I really enjoy, is helping people. And life for me is great. I mean, I was just thinking about comparing the last 6 years that I've been out to the previous 6 years of my Sea Org career, and the difference in the amount of production that I produced in those last 6 years compared to the amount I've produced since then there's no comparison. I've traveled, I've seen parts of the world I've never seen, I've got a great relationship with somebody, made a lot of friends, reconnected with a lot of tremendous friends, and that just wasn't happening my last years in the Sea Org. And that's when I realized things were just sort of going down and down and down, and we're going to continue to go down. And that's when I decided I needed to take some responsibility for my own future track and my own creation of my life. So I did something about it, and I would hope that others would do that too, either in or out of the church.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.